So I have a little bit of alone time because Anshul is visiting his sister in DC. She just had her first baby, and she's had kind of a little bit of a rough time, but Anshul is going to go hang out with her, spend some time with her and the baby, and I figured I would embrace this alone time to make a video and reflect on my whole pregnancy process. I had a vision that I would make a weekly video just sharing like week by week changes, but I did not end up doing that because I'm lazy. And yeah, so I'm 35 weeks pregnant now. Figured I would do it sooner than later because I don't know what to expect in the next few weeks. I don't know if the baby's gonna come late, early, or whatever. And I just don't know if we'll have the time, if I'll have the time to make a video just like sorting through my thoughts once the baby comes. This video is mostly for me to just look back on and reflect on this whole journey. And hopefully if people do want some insights, maybe it'll be helpful. I don't know. A lot of people have been asking me about what the process has been like, because it is a weird thing to experience, and I don't feel like that many of my friends are having kids. So yeah, anyways, so I'll just start with the physical, mental, emotional changes through each trimester that I experienced personally. The first trimester was rough. I definitely felt the morning sickness all throughout my first and second trimester. I was really fatigued. I was throwing up. I would describe it as like having a really bad hangover. So if you can handle a really bad hangover, then you can probably handle pregnancy. I just wanted to nap all day. I needed to snack and have little meals just so that I could have something in my stomach because I just constantly wanted to throw up. My boobs were super sore. My sense of smell was really heightened. Like Chungles would fart and it made me want to vomit. I thought that my body odor smelled worse, but I can't tell if that's just because my sense of smell was more intense. I noticed a lot more like blemishes popping up on my face, like just little dark spots, and I was more prone to like rashes on random parts of my body. I think that's just because my immune system was like lowered, or just my hormones were out of whack. The whole process is not fun, but it's definitely bearable. And in terms of like mental and emotional changes, I definitely experienced some brain fog. Like I'm already pretty careless person. Like I lose things all the time, but it was way worse. It got way worse, and I felt myself like also just being nervous when like little things, like I felt like I was driving like an old lady, like driving slow and just being like really careful, looking at the rear view windows. Like, I don't know, I just felt way more anxious and like unable to, I'm normally not that like antsy, but I found myself being more anxious in that way. Like even watching videos of people getting hurt like really like irked me, and that's not normally how I am. I usually get like entertainment from things like that. I love horror movies. I'm like, I don't know, I kind of, maybe it's a little sadistic, but I like kind of enjoy things like that, like videos of like lions hunting deer. I'm like fascinated by that, but after I just find myself being more sensitive to those things after getting pregnant. And also like just emotional videos. Like I watched a video about a woman who had 2 parrots, and they were like lovers, and one of the parrots died. And so the remaining bird was depressed, so she had to get a replacement bird for the living bird, and it like just made me tear up. And normally I'm not the type of person to cry. I don't really cry that often. But I feel like the estrogen, the hormones has made me really emotional. So yeah, those are some of the changes I've noticed. It's weird. It's definitely a weird experience. From like 20 weeks onward, I started the morning sickness. Oh, another thing about the first trimester was I could not poop for the life of me. I was so constipated. I started taking fiber supplement to just get things going. But I feel so bad for Anshul because I was so gassy and so backed up. It was not pleasant for him. I feel so bad. But it got better from like 20 weeks, I want to say 20 weeks onward. I was able to poop without taking silly musk all the time, but the acid reflux got worse. So as your belly gets bigger, your stomach and intestines just gets like squished. So I could just like feel every meal like sitting in my stomach, and I could feel the acid like wanting to come out. And so sometimes I would throw up if I overate because I could just feel the food sitting in my stomach. Like it felt like it was like right here, and I could feel the acid in my throat just kind of coming up. So it was not pleasant. I feel like my whole pregnancy I just threw up a lot. Whether it was from morning sickness or acid reflux, I was just constantly throwing up. And I don't know. Yeah, I've learned to eat smaller meals, but that's also, I don't know. It's really hard for me. I'm not good at portion control. I hate limiting myself. I love spicy food. I haven't stopped eating spicy food. I actually don't think spicy food is the issue. For some reason, like fried foods and anything really fatty is what really like, it just doesn't digest. So I've learned to like cut back on fried foods. But yeah, when it was really bad, I asked my doctor like what I should do, and she prescribed me some meds, some proton pump inhibitors, and that essentially helps reduce stomach acid. You take it at the beginning of the day before you start eating, and so I was on those for like a month starting in March, but I didn't know that taking those, it reduces the amount of acid in your stomach, making you more prone to stomach bugs and other infections and viruses. I didn't know that. I just kind of blindly took it because I thought it was harmless. Before that, I tried taking Tums, but it was like, still didn't really do much. So I just kind of blindly started taking these meds. So that was beginning of March. Then sometime in April, I had a really bad case of food poisoning. I think it was these mussels, these like steamed mussels that I ate that were covered in garlic and oil. And at the time, I was just like, I was eating them and I was like, I can't really taste the mussels. I can't tell if they're good or not. Like, I feel like a part of me was suspicious. I was like, I feel like if you have to cover something in butter and garlic to this extent, maybe it's not good. But I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm fine. Like I've been pretty chill about my pregnancy. Like I've still been eating sushi here and there. I've still been having coffee and like taking little sips of alcohol when Anshul orders a cocktail. I don't drink a full drink, but like I've been like taking a sip here and there. Like I feel like I've been kind of chill about my pregnancy. So I was like, you know what? Nothing bad has happened so far. I'm just gonna eat it. And what a mistake that was. So the next day I was just vomiting, having diarrhea, and it was just nonstop. Like I want to say 2 to 3 times every hour I was on the toilet. And it lasted for like those first 3 days. It lasted for a week, but the first 3 days I was like, okay, 3 days is a long time. And throughout these 3 days, I was talking to my doctor on like my app, messaging her, keeping her updated. But she was like, you know what, just wait it out. I don't know, her advice was to just wait. And I was like, okay, but day 3 of like really bad food poisoning, I'm not able to leave the house. I think I remember going to one open house and I was like, I had to use their bathroom. It was embarrassing. I was just like, I can't function like this. So I asked friends who are doctors, nurses, PAs, people in the medical industry, and finally I figured out that taking the proton pump inhibitors, which was reducing the stomach acid, was preventing me from healing from this bug because the acid wasn't there to kill the bug. I also ended up going to the ER just to be safe, to make sure I wasn't dehydrated, to make sure the baby was safe, and everything was fine. Turned out to just be your standard food poisoning stomach bug. But like, and normally people would get over it in like a day, but because I was on these PPIs and I was pregnant, so my immune system is already just like shot. It lasted like a week. But anyways, at 3 days, I stopped taking the meds, and then it took me 3 days to fully recover. And I was feeling better after that week, but my gut was just wrecked. Anyways, after that, I just didn't really like how my OB handled my situation. Like, when I eventually told my OB, like, hey, maybe I should stop taking these meds. And her advice was like, you should only take the meds when you need them. And I was like, well, the instructions are to take the meds before I even start eating, so how am I supposed to know? So I was just frustrated with that care. And every visit that I had with my OB was like 15 minutes. It was like, it felt very rushed. And luckily I had no complications otherwise. I had a generally healthy pregnancy, so like I feel like my doctor didn't like have too many concerns, but it didn't feel good to just feel so rushed. So I think after the food poisoning, I kind of took a step back and I was like, maybe I should seek alternative options, which is where Anshul found Birth Center, it's a medical center run by a midwife. She has a lot of experience, had a lot of good reviews, and it's a place where you can give birth. They have a tub, they have a bed, they have all sorts of like yoga balls and other tools to help facilitate an unmedicated birth, which is what I decided I wanted maybe like at the end of my first trimester or start of my second trimester, after hearing some horror stories about people's epidurals going wrong. Like, there's a lot of side effects, and like, even though I'll say doctors will say that the chances of something going wrong are slim, but I know personally at least 3 people who had complications with their epidurals, and I know that most people have them and it's probably fine, but like, I personally am the type of person who would rather move around, and I'm not really afraid of pain. I would rather feel pain than like not know what's going. I don't want to not know what's going on down there. I'd rather know and have control over my body. And I'm also just a very mobile person, and I'd rather have that option. But like, I understand why people get the epidural. So yeah, early on, I knew that I wanted to do unmedicated, and it just seemed like this place aligned more with my intentions and values. And after my first visit, I could tell the midwives were way more holistic. When I told them about my acid reflux, they were like, okay, let's look at what you're eating. Let's fill out like a week let's track your food for a week and see what we could do to improve it. And I thought that was just like a better solution than like prescribing me meds. I'm like, and I don't know what the side effects of meds are. Like, I'd rather look at natural options. And like, so far my acid reflux has gotten better. I've been changing my diet. I have been going to acupuncture, And I think those have helped a lot more than just taking meds. And yeah, I just feel a lot more heard when I go to my appointments with my midwives, and the appointments are like 1 hour versus 15 minutes. So I kind of think the food poisoning was like a good way to pivot, or it was a good way for me to take a step back and look at what I actually wanted out of my pregnancy journey and birth plan. And like, it allowed me to like reset and empower myself to make a decision to shift gears and find something that I actually felt aligned with. And also I kind of think that the week of food poisoning was kind of a good dress rehearsal for what it might actually be like when I do give birth. Like, I'm gonna be pretty powerless, it's probably gonna hurt a lot, and I'm gonna be pushing something out. So I know it's gonna be very different, it's not the same, but it's similar. But yeah, what else? The physical, emotional, mental changes. I think another thing about my emotional changes, I really thought that I would be so much more hormonal and irrational throughout my whole pregnancy. And while I am more emotional, I haven't noticed like my day-to-day emotions being affected. It's mostly just like instigated by certain things. I find myself getting more angry if something feels like it's a threat to me or my baby. Like, I feel like I was crossing the road and it was a bus or a car that didn't stop fully. Like, they didn't see me, and I was like so pissed. I was just like, I like looked at the car and I was like, what the fuck? And I normally wouldn't do that. I'm like normally pretty chill, and I'm like, I didn't get hit, like whatever. Maybe that's a little too passive. I don't know, but I found myself getting so mad at this car that didn't stop, and I was just like, what the fuck? Yeah. I also just feel like in general, people treat you differently when you have a huge belly. Like, it's kind of funny, the number of people, especially like for some reason, like men will be like, congratulations, or like I don't know, say like, wow, due in June. Like, one guy tried to guess like, June, is that your due date? Like, guessed. And a part of me like would have been like, what the fuck, mind your business. But a part of me also felt like kind of, it was like, I see that it's a nice thing. People are trying to be congratulatory and nice, so I'm not like offended. But I just think it's interesting that people are nicer or find the need to like say something about it. It's a happy experience. I'm not offended. I think it's nice. I also have found that some people are not very nice. Like, when I was traveling and I was like waiting for the bathroom in the airport, and like I was kind of surprised by like how impolite people are. Like, some old lady cut me in the bathroom line, and I was kind of shook because I was like, yo, I gotta pee. I have to pee. When you're pregnant, you have to pee all the time. There's no fucking room. Your bladder is squished, everything is squished. So I was just like, bitch. And I was like pretty pissed. And I was surprised that someone would have the audacity to cut a pregnant lady. But I guess some people don't give a fuck. Yeah, or like stopping your car for a pregnant woman. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, I'll go through all the common questions I get asked. First one that I get asked a lot is, did you always know that you wanted to be a parent? And the answer is, I think, no, I didn't. I think I've always liked taking care of things though. Like, I like having dogs. I get joy from feeding, training, and just like taking care of my dogs and people. I don't know, I get joy from that. So I think a part of me felt like I never felt like I was like icked by the idea of having kids, but it's not like I was like, I want kids. I was never the type of person to be like, I know for sure I'm gonna have kids. Like, I thought, you know what, I'd be happy either way. I'd be happy. I think if I had a child-free life, I would travel the world. I don't know. I probably wouldn't travel because I don't even like traveling that much, but I would find joy and satisfaction in my life because before being pregnant and before all this, I did a lot of things and found a lot of satisfaction in my life. And I'd probably just focus on having pets. But anyways, I think also having a really solid partner just made the idea of having a kid feel more real. If my partner didn't, I think one of the reasons I am attracted to Anshul is that he displays a lot of strong qualities that I would like to see in a dad. He's very generous, he's very warm, he's very open with his feelings. He's a good leader. I feel like if I was dating someone who I had, and in the past I have dated people who are like sketchy and not very nice, or like weird, not social. Like, I think it's actually really important for, it's great for people to be nice, but I also think it's important for people to be social and understand how to maneuver social interactions. And I think that if you're unable to do that, that's gonna make your life really hard. So yeah, I think in the past I probably would have been more attracted to like a mysterious, artsy type, but now I'm like, would that make a good father? Probably not. And that just, it like icks me out. I don't know what, I think after dating so many weird dudes, I was like, yuck, yuck. And like maybe subconsciously a part of my brain is like, or a part of the process of weeding out guys was like, would this guy make a good father? Yes, no, yeah. So I always thought that Anshul would have made a good father, and I think that's part of what further solidified me feeling okay with having kids. And ultimately, I just feel like we've reached a point where I feel like I've done everything I've wanted to. I feel like I've traveled. I feel like I've partied. I feel like I've tried everything. I don't know. I feel like I've had an adventurous past, and now I'm not really that curious to do any more adventuring. I'm like, how many more places can I go before I feel fulfilled and satisfied? Honestly, like my favorite things to do are to stay at home, walk my dogs, cook a nice meal. Like, I'm pretty boring, I've realized. So like, and I don't know, I just get so much joy from having a dog that I think that's part of what made me like want to have kids. Like watching Chungles go from a puppy, training her, raising her, giving her that nourishment, that nurturing, it like gives me fulfillment. And I feel like I can imagine what having a kid would be like and how much joy that would give me. So maybe that's like a really boring, I don't know. I think a lot of people see motherhood as kind of boring, or parenthood as boring. They're like, you have nothing else to live for. You have no freedom. Like, but I'm like, freedom to do what? Drink and party and travel? Like, I don't even want to do those things. I don't know. I think if you want to do those things, that's great. And you shouldn't have kids. I'm boring and I like I like staying at home and cooking and doing boring things. So that's why I was like, you know what? I think I'm okay with the idea of having a kid. And I think it's a really transformative and existential process. You're like partaking in the cycle of life and death, and you're just, I don't know. I see it as like a very existential experience. And like, obviously it's messy, and obviously there's a lot of like stress that comes with it, but I feel like in the end it's so worth it. Just like having Chungles, like Chungles barks a lot and Chungles is aggressive and it's been kind of hard to train her, and she's big and she's a liability if she were to do something. It's stressful, but when she does something right, it gives me so much joy. And I guess another question I get asked a lot is, how did I know I was ready to have kids? And it's like, how do you know you're ready to do anything? How do you know you're ready to get married? Or how do you know you're ready to, like, you just don't know. And part of it for me was that I don't have the option, I don't have the funds to do IVF and harvest eggs. Even if I did have those options available, I don't think I would do them because they're really invasive and hard on your body. I think after we got Chungles was when we kind of started to slow down. We were like traveling a lot before that and like partying a lot before that, and just like, I think Anshul and I were both trying to like milk the end of our 20s. But I think after getting Chungles, it forced us to kind of like mellow out, stay at home, cut back on what we said yes to. And I think that made us feel a little more prepared. Also, like having to take a dog out, I don't know if people know this, but taking care of a puppy is really hard. I don't know why I feel like I have something in my throat. Taking care of puppies is really hard. You have to take them out like multiple times in a night. So like the first couple of months of having a puppy, they pee inside a lot. You're not getting a lot of sleep. She barked a lot. There's just like, there felt like there was no peace. And I'm like, I feel during that process, I was like, I feel like this is kind of what having a baby would be like. Obviously it's so different, but like it's similar. And if I can handle this, then I can handle having a kid. So that was my logic. And I think that was Anshul's logic too. And we felt very confident and ready to like have a kid. So like after Chungles, we got Chungles in June of last year, May of last year, and then around September we came back from our last trip. We went to Wyoming, and that's when we were like, let's just try and find out, and see what happens. I'm not on birth control. I haven't been on birth control since I was like 19. It makes me really like depressed and insane, so I just never liked hormonal birth control. And yeah, so Anshul and I have spent our relationship pretty much just being really careful to not get pregnant, and we did get pregnant. I got pregnant once with him back when we first started dating, and that's the one time when I was like not careful. So I think, and then it's been like over 10 years later. I think not being on birth control made the whole process of getting pregnant a little easier. I was tracking my cycle and just trying to make sure I was, I don't know, I feel like you can do research on your peak fertility and do it yourself. So I know a lot of people come at me for not being on birth control. People think I'm crazy, but like I've managed to not get pregnant for almost 10 years. And then when I chose to get pregnant, it was like easy. So I don't know. I feel like if you're with a partner who understands what you want, it shouldn't be a problem. In the past, I was with a partner who was really pushing me to be on birth control, and I didn't like it. So you should do what you want with your body, and your partner should respect that. Anyways, so getting pregnant was surprisingly easy for us. We didn't expect it to be that easy, but it happened really fast. And yeah, that's how it happened. Oh, another question I get asked a lot is, do I feel healthier? Do I miss drinking? I don't miss any of that. I actually feel like I love the excuse of being able to be like, I can't drink, I'm pregnant, sorry. And I do not feel healthier because I just feel like even though I am eating healthier and not drinking, I feel like my life force is just being sucked out of me. So I'm just like constantly tired. And I'm also, dude, I've gained 20 pounds, maybe 22 pounds now. But like when you feel so big, you just feel so constantly out of breath, and I don't feel energized the way I think if I stopped drinking and ate the diet that I'm eating now, not pregnant, I would probably be so fit and healthy and wake up energized, but being pregnant just takes the life out of you. So I don't feel healthier. I don't miss drinking. I don't miss partying because I just don't have a lot of energy. I just want to like sleep all day. And I'm like okay with that. I've like come to embrace that that's all I want to do. I used to think it was like kind of depressing, but like now I'm like, oh, yes, I just want to take a bath. That's gonna be my activity for the day. The last question I get asked a lot is, how has my relationship with Anshul changed? Has like sex been different? How's intimacy? And honestly, I think this whole journey has brought us closer together, and Anshul's really stepped up to be supportive, take care of, he's always been more of a cook, and he's always been more of the person who cleans and takes care of chores. So, but he's been very supportive, and I feel like this journey has brought us closer together. And it also I also feel like I'm more open and receptive to accepting care in this state. Like, I feel like in the past, I probably would have been like, ew, don't touch me if he tried to give me a massage. But now that I'm pregnant, I'm like, yes, please give me a shoulder rub. Like, yes, please rub my feet. I don't know, like I've come to like accept this role of like being pampered and it's brought us closer together, and it's made intimacy so much better. I also feel like surprisingly I've been my libido's been pretty good, so it hasn't changed that. It's been kind of nice. I think it's been a surprisingly blissful experience altogether. Yeah, I do feel like the one downside of being pregnant, besides the physical changes that are not pleasant, is like I do feel like I've kind of lost some friends. It's kind of weird. I feel like after like announcing that we're pregnant, I feel like I don't know if it makes people uncomfortable or they don't know how to interact with a pregnant person, but I have noticed a few people just kind of disappear, and that's totally fine. Like, everyone's in different stages of life, but like some people haven't like reached out or said congratulations, and I would have expected, I don't know, they're like close enough where I would have expected some sort of interaction. But I also understand that maybe it might be triggering for some people or upsetting. I don't know. But I also have noticed that a lot of people who I haven't talked to in years have reached out and want to rekindle a relationship. And I'm like, I don't know if I have time to like re-add you into my life after so many years. That's really nice though. But like, it's just interesting to see who chooses to like reach out and how. It's a little isolating sometimes knowing that a lot of my friends don't know what I'm going through and can't really relate, but I do appreciate when people try. And I really appreciate when people make the effort to come see me and Anshul, because yeah, it is hard for me to like go out to a bar and not be the only person not drinking. So like, I really appreciate all the friends who have like come over to like try and hang out and work around our schedules. I know it's kind of selfish, but like being pregnant is hard, and I'm like so big. And I'm like carrying 20 pounds. I can like walk and feel a fucking baby's head in my crotch. Like, it's not comfy. But I appreciate everyone who has like made an effort to hang out. And I also feel like being pregnant has allowed me to seek out support groups and like go to prenatal yoga and meet new people who are going through the same thing that I'm going through. And so it's opened me up to more friendships with people who are going through the same journey. And I feel like it's a unique experience. And being able to bond with these other future moms or people who've already had kids, it's kind of nice. It's definitely, I can see how some people would see that it's really boring, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with like a very quiet, boring, and mundane lifestyle. Because it's just so much nicer. But yeah, I feel overall, as the day approaches, I wish I could just know when the baby was coming. I'm a little nervous as to how the birth is going to happen and unfold. It's going to be like a real test of my ability to let go and just like roll with the punches and embrace the pain and the suffering. I mean, maybe suffering is the wrong word, but like I feel like I am viewing this whole process, the birth process, as like the equivalent of like doing a shit ton of ayahuasca. Like, it's not going to be pleasant, but the light at the other side is going to be so amazing and wonderful and beautiful, and I will feel so much joy being able to hold that baby and know that I did that and I made that. Like, it's going to be such an amazing experience, but also I'm sure it'll be a little traumatizing too and painful. So like I'm trying to mentally prepare for like the whirlwind that's going to take place. But mostly I feel optimistic. It's been overall a good experience. I would recommend it. I would do this all again. This is before having a baby, giving birth. I would do this all again. Pregnancy is not that bad. And it's like really cool to feel something move inside of you. Right now I think this is like a leg. I don't know, but like it's fascinating to feel something growing inside of you, and like I can't explain this sensation to anyone else. I've always been like an adventure seeker, and I've always wanted to experience everything there is to experience in this world. So this is like one of those wild experiences, and it's, I don't know, it's fun. So yeah, all right, thanks for watching.